Welcome to the J.D. Levy & Associates Calibration Point Podcast. Our podcasts are designed to bring a conversational exploration of key topics that we believe will provide value and insight to those serving in the nonprofit sector. We will highlight new developments in the field, latest research, and things we're learning from our own clients that we can share.
Welcome, everybody, to this month's episode of the Calibration Point. I have a little different approach this month in that I am sharing the audio from a video segment of a live training that I created on indirect and direct expenses. As I did this and it was reviewed, I had a number of people suggest that this would be a great short topic to put on the Calibration Point podcast. So this month, I am going to share that with you. It's only a few minutes long, maybe 5 to 10 minutes long, but I think you'll really enjoy it. Hopefully, as you listen to it, you'll be able to apply it into your own organizations, and you'll find it a great value, as others who have listened to it felt that it would be good to share in a broader constituency. Back to all of you. Enjoy.
I've given you just a simple low-cost equation, and that is direct expense plus indirect expense creates change. Just important from a donor mindset when I'm thinking about my giving to know that everything that I give to is creating value in an organization. This kind of mythical, very bogus place of, more of my money is going to mission here than it is here. I mean, it's a feel-good statement for some donors, but there's zero truth to that statement. If there's something an organization's spending money on that's not going towards mission, that's called fraud. And I just have a problem with that as a donor because it impacts the equation that an organization is executing to create change. And I have to understand that as a donor so I can have my own what matters approach. But direct expense plus indirect expense equals change. The donor who says, hey, I'm only going to restrict my giving to direct expenses is basically saying that for them to receive value, the organization has to subsidize them with another donor. It's a really inferior place of giving, but there's a reason why we do it. We're going to talk about that later. Again, I just want to put this as a high level for now. But I have to subsidize this equation in some way if someone says I'm only going to give to this functional direct expense item. Because for me to create change, I have to also fund brand, culture, research, systems, structure, the board, strategic plan, systems, all the things that it takes for me to actually create smiling kids, smiling, happy families, whatever it might be. But I have to subsidize that. And in my experience, when I've asked donors and philanthropists that we work with that want to restrict on why, often it's because the organizations have not, in some cases, the donor has not taken the time, but the kind of philanthropists we work with, they're typically taking the time. They have not done a good job at translating indirect expense at the same level as direct. One of my greatest mentors, he passed away probably now 8 years ago, but amazing philanthropist who just had the ability to leverage funding like anyone I've ever seen or worked with. But one of the comments he made to me, two things. One, he always said, Jamie, if you ask for money, you'll get advice. And if you ask for advice, you'll get money. The other was that he said, my foundation won't fund operational expenses because we'll only fund things that are mission critical. I won't fund a printer, but as soon as the printer crosses the line of nexus with the mission, it's no longer this nebulous overhead, it's mission critical. It's just that most organizations don't know how to translate overhead to mission critical expenses. It really is about translation and knowing how I create value. Why do I need technology? Why do I need internal staff? But they don't matter if the organization can't translate their value to how we create significance. But when I can now translate these things so that they can be connected to in the same way providing books to kids can, now I've changed the equation. A lot of that's on the organization, but it's also on us as donors to ask the question. And if the organization can't help you find the answer, that's on them. But as a donor, and when we get into questions we ask, this is a great conversational question. Help me understand what your overhead looks like. What comprises your overhead? How does that create value? And that will start to open up what their model of social change looks like. What's the impact of having an executive director? Why do you have development? Why are you funding marketing? If marketing is just, if their answer is, well, we just need to raise more money, then you got to question, do they really understand development? Because development is actually about creating renewal, driving change, engagement of constituencies, building ambassadors. And by the way, it also creates exchange for people to give. So again, this is a really good place for a donor conversation. Tell me about your indirect expenses and what value they create. That should typically lead them into sharing how they create value. And then I can start to look deeper at the questions about what matters.
Thanks for listening to the J.D. Levy & Associates Calibration Point Podcast. If you have comments or ideas for future episodes, please reach out using the contact page on our website, jdlevyassociates.com.